What is up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and today we have a review of Light the Torch and You Will Be the Death of Me via Nuclear Blast Records. And hey, if you like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. Light the Torch is an LA metalcore band fronted by ex-Killswitch Engage vocalist Howard Jones alongside guitarist Francesco Artusato, bassist Ryan Wombacher, and now Whitechapel's Alex Rudinger on drums. You Will Be the Death of Me is their sophomore outing following 2018's revival. As should be a surprise to absolutely no one, Howard's vocals sound phenomenal on this record. Those who know him from his time with Killswitch as well as numerous other projects should find themselves right at home with his always powerfully belted, almost operatic melodies. I listen to certain moments on this record and am taken back to the early 2000s, grabbing the End of Heartache off the Best Buy shelf and holding it in my hands for the first time.
Oh, they're adorable.
I'm not gonna lie, I could always use a bit more screaming alongside the high baritone singing, but then again, the more sparing approach makes each instance all the more potent and aggressive. I'm also enjoying the little electronic additions on some of these songs that add just that dash of extra flavor. For instance, End of the World has a cool little descending synth line running through the chorus, building on an already infectious composition that tends to linger. Then there's the subtle Make Them Suffer-esque sorrowful notes accompanying big power ballad Death of Me. And also the single Wilting in the Light, which opens with a wobbly tremolo-affected synth part that almost sounds like an industrialized EDM rave at times, but without ever overtaking the rock overtones. Losing faith will always get the best of me. But as for the standard instrumentation, there's plenty of great riffage to enjoy as well, from the tension-building Living with a Ghost, which has an opening part akin to Gojira's Born for One Thing before exploding into the massive melodic and once more effects-driven chorus, to the genty Architect's grooves of Denying the Sin, to the melancholic opening chugs of Come Back to the Quicksand, to the raging, ever-shifting hook frenzy of More Than Dreaming, which has arguably the most early 2000s energy coursing through its DNA. You can pretend to be alone, but I always hear you screaming. Now, all of that said, You Will Be the Death of Me isn't without its faults. For one, I can't shake the overall generic feeling that permeates almost every level of its production. The guitar sound, the overall mix, even a lot of the songwriting. Everything just feels a little too polished, a little too calculated. And as a result, very little truly stands out. Even the strongest performances wind up sounding like any number of other big-name rock and metalcore bands vying for a spot on the Billboard charts right now. Don't get me wrong, this is endlessly better than the latest from Atreyu or A Day to Remember, but it's still ending up in a similar territory in terms of how it is ultimately put together. On a more individualized note, I'm not a fan of the OOs on Let Me Fall Apart. Unfortunately, Fall Out Boy have kind of ruined that for me for the foreseeable future. And then there's the closing track, Sign Your Name, which, while not without its merits, just crosses the line a bit too far into cheesiness territory for my tastes. So much so that I realized there is no way that this is not a cover of some sort of 80s pop song. And I'm glad I stopped to check, because sure enough, this is their version of the 1987 single from Sananda Maitreya. I want you to be my baby. You almost got me, guys, but I'm evolving. So as a whole, You Will Be the Death of Me is a solid effort with plenty to enjoy, especially for the Howard fans out there. But at the same time, it leaves me wanting in terms of really standing out from the pack. I give the album an 8 for enjoyability. If nothing else, this album is plenty fun and brings an uplifting energy just when we are perhaps needing it the most. I give it an 8 for musicianship. Nothing too noteworthy here overall, but still above average performances across the board with a few flourishes here and there. And I give it a 7 for innovation. Again, pretty average stuff you've heard over and over again in various forms. Never bad, but never really finding its own unique footing either. So a 7.7 overall and a very high C+ for Light the Torch and You Will Be the Death of Me. Get it once more via Nuclear Blast Records. Definitely worth the listen at the very least. But y'all, if you want something else really great coming out this week, you should check out Fractal Universe and their new album, The Impassable Horizon, via Metal Blade Records. Fractal Universe is a French progressive metal band that I would describe as somewhere on the spectrum between Opeth and Obscura. This is the follow-up to 2019's Rhizomes of Insanity and became one of my most anticipated releases of June after hearing the excellent single A Clockwork Expectation. This track is perhaps the perfect summary of the band's sound, a highly dynamic collision of dizzyingly technical guitar riffs with delicate progressive song structures and an ever-present air of mystery. And all of this punctuated by a most righteous eruption of saxophone. Once more, this album is positively dripping with nostalgia for albums like Blackwater Park and Ghost Reveries, but always with their own unique and modern twist on the proceedings. Likewise, if you enjoy the various projects of Hans Grossman, the precision musicianship on display here is going to be right up your alley. Definitely getting some Alkaloid vibes at least. In any case, this album is one I could have easily made an entire video about, but suffice it to say, it's already become one of my favorite albums of the second half of 2021 so far. And y'all, that's it for now, but don't go anywhere. Let me know down in the comments, what did you think of these albums? What's your favorite metalcore album of 2021 so far? And check out my favorite metalcore albums of 2021 in this list. And then of course, check out my other videos, more album reviews, interviews with bands on the podcast, tier lists, you name it, we've got it. So plenty of reasons to subscribe if you have not already. You can also chat with me on Discord and support on Patreon. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.